Previously on 100 Days of Grounded, I took on the infected broodmother and we completed the game 100%. I then spent another 100 days building a giant museum, taking care of the brand new ant queens and getting ready for New Game Plus. And that's our adventures today, 50 days surviving in New Game Plus. Can we complete it all, taking on even tougher bosses, more bugs, and trying to get our weapons and ourselves upgraded to survive. Stick around for a twist at the end. My name's Jade, you're Ratbags, let's go, 50 days of New Game Plus. Day 200, it was time to see what was behind the mysterious door that you could only open by defeating the Wasp Queen, the Mantis and the broodmother, as well as completing the Java Matic. Once inside, we turn the dial and New Game Plus would begin. As we spawned in the kids case once more, it was time to run over to Burgle while I explain exactly what New Game Plus is. Bugs are tougher, they're going to do more damage. There are special infused bugs that have even more health and do even more damage with special effects. They can hit you with magic like ice, spicy or even sour orbs, have more defense, infect you with venom and a lot more. Every boss in New Game Plus is going to be infused, so even tougher than they normally are. But I'll be showing you all of them as we would face off against every single boss again. But first, a friendly hello to Burgle once more. Milk molars would be spawning in random places, so we'd be able to increase our stats and give us a bit more protection against the infused creatures, as well as raw science, giving us enough to go ahead and buy some of the brand new weapons that were added in each stage of New Game Plus. The biggest component of New Game Plus though is to upgrade your current weapons, utilising something called Infused Ooze, which you get as maybe a drop from infused bugs, and deduper jelly, a resource that you get when you go ahead and dedupe trinkets you don't want. A whole bunch more trinkets have been added to the game, potentially dropping from every kind of bug, although some will drop more than others. So the ones you don't like with effects in them that aren't really going to be useful, you can dedupe and hopefully craft new upgrades called fusion crystals for your gear. We'll cover that in more detail. Let's head home to my giant museum base and see what's cooking. So the green shield bugs that live on top of the Brawny Boy bin box don't normally respawn when you kill them the first time, but each New Game Plus they will. What green meanies they were, and that's something I'm going to have to think about if I keep playing New Game Plus in the future.
It's one fell swoop, my base is wrecked. Oh, the humanity. Oh my god, no.
So with my base absolutely wrecked, I was going to need to repair and get some new resources again, as I was running out of things like lint. Along the way I did go and scan the infused ooze, which unlocked obviously the infusion crystals. We get more ways to make these, as you can get special infused ooze from bosses, which are meant to make farming them the best way to go to get upgrades for your weapons. So that will happen soon, but first go and get that lint, taking on my first infused bug, yep, the mighty dust mite. At this stage, with no weapon upgrades, no health upgrades, you can see how tough it's going to be facing off against just a simple creature. Infused creatures do act just like regular ones, they'll have the same weaknesses and strengths, so you've got to use the right kind of weapon to take them on. The guaranteed reward from killing them is 3000 raw science, which we'll need to buy the new weapons. It took me a couple days to repair and get things sorted, so by the time I was done, it was already day 203. Before I began New Game Plus, I went and gave a special infected treat to the Red Ant Queen. This meant in this version of New Game Plus, I had the infected ants running around this anthill and they were at war with the regular ants. Both of them gave me some vital drops. I'd be getting new weapons and a shield by killing these guys, but they were pretty tough. The shield especially would come in handy as it was going to give me explosive resist. Like I mentioned earlier, milk molars will spawn in random places and they're essential for survival. You need them to increase your health, your stamina and collect them all before you begin the next New Game Plus. Because when you go to the next New Game Plus, any previous ones you didn't find will be lost and reset and new ones will spawn. Deeper into the anthill and we came across the Ant Queen. These were added at the same time as New Game Plus, so do make sure you watch my previous 100 days to see exactly how I encountered and what choices I made with all of them. Now if I give her a special treat, the mouldy hoagie, the same thing you use to summon the infected broodmother, she'll give us a new crafting station where we'll be able to make the trinkets ourselves with all brand new random effects. But again, that was going to be something we'd have to go and get the ingredients for a little later. Right now, it was time to start clearing out the red ants, trying to pick up as much of the infused ooze as possible and hopefully some trinkets drop in, as they're both only a random chance of happening. That sour orb is probably the worst effect that infused creatures have, as there's almost no escape once it starts hitting you. On the way home I went and scanned the infected parts, giving me access to the new spear and obviously that shield. And I'd already found enough milk motors to start the process of making myself stronger once again. Day 204, a trip to the deck and hopefully get some toenails as we'd need it for the mouldy hoagie. And then again I spent the rest of the day farming red ants, hopefully trying to get as much raw science and them chances of infused ooze and trinkets. At this stage these are the only ones you really want to be messing with, as just so many other bugs are going to be too tough. Bitty big balls that I am, I decided to do a mixer and that was a massive mistake. Summoning way too many creatures and infused at once.
Oh! Well, okay, I didn't want to die.
On the way back to my body, again the green shield bugs were giving me trouble. That's the other thing that New Game Plus does, it swaps around certain spawns and makes certain creatures appear in different parts of the yard. Just about managed to defeat them, got the rest of the bug parts and then got out of there. In New Game Plus 1, these loot chests would only have crinkles, basically tier 1 trinkets with only one effect, but as you progress you'll find better ones like the waffles and cones.
So he's got venom and bomb. No, he's got bombs.
Meaning some attacks are going to do explosive damage.
Well, I've got my sleek helmet.
Which in theory should give me more protection, but not against maybe 2 infused.
Oh, why am I slowing down?
You've got to have the best reflexes, or certainly use a lot of roly-poly armour if you're not good at perfect blocking if you want to survive. You now were given 1500 raw science every time you got one of the raw bundles, so definitely an improvement, and we need lots of it to buy all the new gear. Round 2 with these infused arachnids, and this time I would smash them. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration.
Fudge! Yes!
It's what makes New Game Plus so difficult. These infused creatures all have random effects that they might have, so you can never have the perfect build to fight just one of them. There's also not a lot you can do against some of their attacks, like the magic ones. Ran back to gather all my lost gear on day 205 from the anthill, and then went and got the ingredients that I still needed to make the mouldy hoagie. And yep, I wasn't about to face off against the Wasp Queen just yet, so I made sure I went and used the duper machine at the field station. Mouldy hoagie on cook. Once it was complete, I went back down to the anthill. Before I got there though, I had my first big test, an infused stink bug. Luckily he had shock damage, which I managed to avoid. You can also see I was using the brand's new spear, the Frongir, which is meant to do explosive charge damage, but I kind of found it a bit weak sauce. I headed on down to the anthill and said hello to the Ant Queen.
Oh, yum, 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 yum. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm.
Boom, sauce jar unlocked. The sausage jar would come in handy later on, but only when you've got enough dejuper jelly. Now, obviously if I'd killed the Ant Queen in the previous run, it would have left open that cave and I would have been able to get a whole bunch of upgrade materials. But by doing it now, it meant I had all of this access to all of these loot chests too. Now a lot of people are grumpy because they feel like I should be giving advice that you should befriend all the Ant Queens in your first run. But by infecting the first one I could, this meant I was able to go ahead and get the sausage jar a whole New Game Plus early. Which means I can craft my own trinkets and hopefully get a chance of getting an effect I want. I spent the rest of the day and night clearing out the anthill, farming infused and infected ants as much as possible. So day 206 I had enough now to go ahead and craft a sausage jar. This would help me get the Globassa links, which are the equivalent of the crinkle trinkets, giving us one effect per trinket and obviously a random chance of whatever it could be. But you can see I can craft Hilbassa bombs, the brand new tier 3 bomb as well, and you save on resources as you don't need as much. So this is the cycle. Any trinkets that are useless to you, go ahead and dedupe at a field station, and then you can use that deduper jelly to go ahead and upgrade your weapons or re-roll and hopefully craft some Globassa links. Day 207 I ran over to the hedge, took care of some more infused, and then faced off for the first time against the infused broodmother.
Oh, she's magic. That is bad.
Yep, not only would the sour orb stun you, they took away your health, pretty much killed you in one hit if you got caught.
Oh my god!
I ended up dying another 3 times to try and take it on before I finally admitted defeat and realised I needed some more healing and maybe some more new gear. It's pretty much all just luck based at the moment what type of infused creature you'll get. It can be random every time you summon a boss, but I needed to persist and kill her because I needed to craft the brand new yoking station, which was how we was going to upgrade our weapons beyond level 9 up to level 15. So after a quick dash home, day 208, I tried again. Not only was she infused, but some of her minions had a chance to be infused too, making the fight even more difficult. I went with Giddy Goop, which I got from killing some of the firelight bugs, and that was slowing down her attacks. And of course my spicy Makahana here was coming in clutch, as it was obviously going to do more damage, as that's what the Broodmother is always weak to. But overall it was because of the effect that she had made this fight a lot easier, with lifesteal taking 20% of any damage she did and giving it back to herself as healing. That was pretty much the best scenario for trying to beat her. I also got really lucky that none of the minions he spawned this time ended up being infused. Yes! That is all I needed to do. Okay, yeah, I'm not fighting that again. Let's go. Mission accomplished. I can now go ahead and make the yoking station and debate about which weapons would be worth upgrading. It was so expensive to do so, you really got to think carefully. But for me, the best bet will always be the acid edge, especially in the first stages. But I needed so many more fusion crystals. They needed 10 of the infused ooze plus 5 deduper jelly. That only makes 1 fusion crystal. You need 5 of these crystals to get the first upgrade, bringing your weapon to level 10. Level 11 would need 10 fusion crystals, level 12, 15, and you get the idea. Hundreds of fusion crystals to go ahead and get your weapon to its max level. And you get the idea. So I weren't going to be maxing out my weapons for a good long while, maybe not until the next New Game Plus. So the grind is real, I best get on with it. First off, checking and looking for any place that milk molars might spawn, as well as hopefully some more loot chests, and taking out more infused bugs as I try to make my way to the hedge lab. And again, to get to the next New Game Plus, we'd have to complete the major laboratories, as we still needed all of the super burgle chips to gain access to the undershed and complete the mant fight and of course the Java Matic once more. That's the only way that the special secret door opens and we can start another New Game Plus once we defeated the 3 bosses. There was plenty of opportunities to take on some of the infused spiderlings, and I nabbed myself some more milk molars and some extra raw science. Each one of the major laboratories had another added bonus though. The super burgle chip that you'd pick up, they were now actually trinkets with special effects in them to make a little bit of an extra reward completing these dungeons once more. Each one of the 4 main chips comes with a set determined effect, which in this case for the hedge is full damage, and then you get a random effect alongside it, which ain't gonna lie was weak sauce to me as I hated unarmed builds. I scoured every part of the hedge, made sure I picked up even more from the loot chests, and on the way home made a detour to the secret berry hedge lab. A lot of the trinkets that you'll find, including the omnit badges, also have additional effects on them, or you might even find double the amount of trinkets like I got here. One will be normal, the other will have an additional effect, so hopefully you'll be really lucky. And yeah, I'm not lucky because bow up miner is only about 10% extra damage, so again, weak sauce. I spent some time getting rid of all these useless trinkets before treating myself with a brand new weapon reward by buying the recipe for the Breath Slayer. Pretty much all the recipes for the new weapons are 2-handed weapons, giving you alternate versions of some of your favourite elemental damage types. In this case I figured the Breath Slayer would be good as we fight against a lot of infected, so a nice little reward as I made my way home and then crafted even more of the fusion crystals. Still didn't have enough to go ahead and get a upgrade yet for it, so instead I went and maxed out what I could with the Breath Slayer and checked it out. And for sure it's pretty good against, like I said, infected creatures. It was now day 210 and it was time to go and investigate the Haze lab. I'd obviously previously gathered all the recipes needed to either go ahead and befriend the Ant Queen, Poisoner or Infector in the previous run, but I've decided to go and get them again just to show everyone when I was live streaming, before facing off against an infused infected ladybug. And yeah, it was tough as she had venom, not to mention some of the dust mites also being infused. But the Breath Slayer was definitely the right choice for this boss fight and I quickly took it down. Yes! Quickly beasted the infected mites and nabbed the haze chip. Every super chip that you get from the haze will have gas guard, and in this case I had invincible attack on top, which was again maybe not the best combo. I made life a bit more difficult for myself by exiting out of the pipe, taking care of more infused bugs, before getting beasted by this infused firebug. Wow. Wow. Honestly, at this stage of the game, I was starting to really not enjoy New Game Plus. I felt like I was playing Elden Ring, just so many bugs absolutely demolishing me. No! This attack by these ladybird larvae really pissed me off. Even though I died a bunch of times and should have realised I'd go and get some maybe heals, I decided I wanted revenge.
Oh, it's the second one. Fudge!
And yeah, it took quite a few goes before I finally got there. With my gear absolutely smashed and broken, a valuable lesson in always keeping a bunch of glue on you, I finally did it.
Suck your mum. Suck your mother.
I apologise to all mothers out there. No time to stay angry, I carried on my adventures and dived into the pond to complete the pond lab as quickly as I could. You don't need to bother getting keys again to open up some of the mysterious little chests you find, and they're usually filled with goodies. Although the chips will only get you some raw science, no special trinkets. I did the usual, turning on all the breakers, and came face to face for the first time with an infused Haze tea. Cleared out the rest of the Haze tea and Ruz teas out of the pond dome room. I was pleased to see some more infused loot boxes, giving me even more trinkets, and of course lots of the muscle sprouts, which I had started to run out of. For sure, the revisits to these labs with the infused creatures does make it a little bit more interesting. It still kind of sucks that the rewards in terms of the trinkets can often be still so random. You're always guaranteed to get Veteran Diver on the Super Burgle chip, but I also got Red Ant damage, again a pretty useless combination. But I made the most of everything and cleared out as much of the pond as possible, finding extra milk molars and absolutely sinking more of the infused diving bell spiders.
Come on. Yes. Man, I chased him like all the way around the pond. Just realised this one hasn't got any ability.
He did, it just wasn't noticeable as it was basically just extra defense. 2 more fusion crystals crafted, but still not enough. I spent the rest of the day running around, gathering loot, milk molars, and again, more taking on infused bugs. And in fact, that was pretty much the repeat pattern for the next 2 days, with a few minor missteps. I was making the most of my Breath Slayer, taking it to the haze, and taking on as many infected creatures as I could. With an absolute passion though, these sour orbs are definitely my least favourite infused bugs. Each one of these would absolutely wreck me. It's been 2 months since the update hit and we still haven't really had a nerf to them, so they're still pretty much OP. So nothing was easy, but I was determined to finally get a good amount of upgrades for my sour battle axe. And finally I done it. 5 of the fusion crystals, enough to go ahead and get my first real serious upgrade, but what would I really go for? I did contemplate maybe doing the Breath Slayer, but absolutely the Acid Edge I think is the best way to go, simply just because it is OP, stunning so many creatures, and now that massive extra attack damage. Went and crafted the Wallopino and a few of the other new recipe weapons that I got, although I wouldn't really end up using them because it felt like such a waste trying to get them upgraded beyond level 9, and so many of the special perks that they had, and a recent update kind of made a lot of the special perks they had kind of rubbish. Day 216 and I went over to the Black Ant Hill to finish off the last of the Super Chip labs. Now you could only infect the first Ant Queen in a normal game and have to actually wait until the next New Game Plus to go ahead and infect the Black Ant Queen. And the recipe for that was hidden behind the door when I defeated the assistant manager, but of course he was infused, as well as these traps independently running from each other, basically making this fight a lot tougher but not impossible. I definitely bought the right armour with the roly-poly giving me extra defence, and as long as I stayed away from most of the traps and took out any of the Haze teas or the Ruz teas that spawned, I maybe had a good chance. Although my poison club probably wasn't the best weapon, realising that poison does no damage to these guys. I ain't gonna lie, I did use up a ton of heals before finally switching to the Sour Battle Axe, and I finally took it out.
Yeah, to be fair, it's pretty easy. Level 10, Sour Axe, all the way baby, all the way.
Again, with the assistant manager keycard now, I'll be able to access so many extra doors and hopefully get extra loot. So remember, this infected recipe doesn't appear here unless you're in New Game Plus 1. Grabbed another useless chip. Do believe you always get Dust Guard, but the block strength was pretty weak sauce again. I spent the whole of day 217 using that card to gain access to all of them secret places, as well as obviously gathering more infused ooze. And as night fell, I headed up to the deck to hopefully activate Wendell's Scab and get access to the Undershed lab. Still was in need of a lot of green scarab shells to go ahead and make upgrades for the rest of my weapons that I was unlocking. And it's a pretty good source for infused dust mites, but not so good or easy termites. Oh! Yeah, there's definitely some strange sounds coming from me during this playthrough. I slept the rest of the night and came renewed with vigour and vengeance in my heart on day 218. Grabbed the scarab shells and then battled the Black Ox beetles, trying to see if I could get a more advanced trinket. There's 3 levels. You've got obviously the crinkles that only give you 1 effect, the special little waffles that give 2, and then the cones that give 3, and these guys have got the best chance of dropping them, at least at this stage of New Game Plus. Sadly no cones, but I did get a whole bunch of waffles, but again all pretty much useless, so I went and deduped them. I wasn't planning on completing the undershed lab on this one run, just wanted to make sure I cleared out the rest of the place first. I did go on a killing spree taking on all of these all weavers. After all that work, I was now fully maxed health again and had everything I needed to go ahead and make the infected gum sandwich ready to feed the Black Ant Queen. And that's why I headed off on day 219. Wonder how many of you guys have befriended every Ant Queen, or have you been a mass murderer and decimated them, or gone the infected route? Let me know your plans in the comments below. Infected. Woo! Got a nice haul again of more trinket boxes, and before returning home I went and explored the sandbox, getting more loot from the treasure chest and more of them vital milk molars. Now the plan was to get my stamina and my healing maxed. The infused ant lions weren't too bad. I was pretty disappointed there weren't any more of the loot chest with all them trinkets and that ooze. I had also unlocked the recipe for the strategist set, but it was going to be a while before I could actually craft it because I went and lost my baby pet ant. There was a pretty bad glitch that you could lose them and all of the inventory that you'd put inside. It's fixed now, but yeah, I was kind of pissed that I'd lost some of my gear. So I won't be able to actually completely make all of the Ant Queen arm sets until the next New Game Plus. Day 220 and I ran back through the undershed, this time with the purpose of taking on the Mant. Them elusive milk molars were still avoiding me, as was my parkour skills. I did eventually get it and cleared out the rest of the undershed before going into the laboratory. This would definitely be a tough fight, but certainly not impossible, and definitely one of the easier ones compared to a lot of the other bosses. But again, it's all just dependent on what luck you get each time you respawn, what effect they have. I had managed to finally craft the infected shield, so I definitely had the tools to withstand some resistance to explosives, but I wasn't expecting to see a mini-mant. Each of the bosses, of these ones at least anyway, have a little chance of having a mini-me, which makes life definitely a lot harder. Especially when the minions are also infused and that bloody sour orb again.
This is bad deeds. Okay, he's dead. Oh, but I'm dead.
Attempt number 2, and again it had the explosive resist, so I figured I might be onto a winner, but I wasn't keeping an eye enough on my health. Third time lucky with one of my favourite weapons, which I nearly went ahead and upgraded, the rusty spear. Also helped that he'd switched and now he was giving me ice damage, which slows you down and does do a bit of damage, but it's definitely one of the weaker magic ones.
Get in.
So you don't get many rewards for these guys, and unlike obviously a lot of the other bosses that you can replay, you only get one chance to kill them. That becomes important in New Game Plus 4 when you got a good chance of getting a special weapon from bosses. So that will be something we'll try and aim for in the next 50 days. But I did the usual, went and talked to Wendell, and we were done. Day 221, I decided to go ahead and craft the acid staff, which I'd managed to unlock previously by killing the Fire Ant Queen. And I could definitely see the appeal with the right type of build. Charge shots obviously aren't going to work as it fires pretty rapidly, and it technically does the same damage as Spicy. You don't really get any benefit from using Whittle Wizard as it doesn't give any attack damage. Anywho, it was fun to use for a moment, but I switched over to my other staves as I went on a rampage to keep farming infusion pieces and maybe trinkets.
Oh! Okay, they got their revenge. They got their revenge.
More milk molar upgrades and another fusion crystal crafted. The next 2 days was filled with me just going roaming around looking for milk molars, loot crates and getting enough ingredients to go ahead and start the Java Matic. I also went and grabbed another 2 Omnant cards, but again, they're still pretty much not worth it, even with additional effects. This one in the giant milk molar tub only gave me minor reflect damage. And the one at the grill was even worse. Attack and imperfect block as usual, but then stun, which I think is pretty poor for this. I had some trouble with the Wasp as I tried to get a milk molar out of the tool chest, and for sure it was giving me nightmares about the fact I'd have to face off against the infused Wasp Queen pretty soon. I managed to lure this one back to my base just towards the end of the day and eventually took it out.
Yes! He's dead.
Oh. But I'd finally done it, had everything I needed to start the Java Matic base defense. A few repairs later, but before we would begin, I went and checked out the secret hall of loot underneath the Java Matic itself in the special lab bunker. And there was a good haul of normal chests that you have, as well as some infused ones. I treated myself to another new weapon in the Sour Katanga, as well as the Science Rug set, meaning I only needed the Frosted Flake and the Burgle bundle to buy, and I was pretty much done for this New Game Plus. At this point I'd built up quite a lot of raw science, so I decided to just go for it and start absolutely duping all the infusion crystals, and I finally done it. I had enough to get to level 11 with my Sour Acid Edge. I prepped for the defense by making sure I had the gong to give me some small but yet crucial offense attack, and made good on the rest of my defences, adding more mushroom walls and more, but I got interrupted by a raid from Orb Weavers. Once I took care of them, I added some more spike walls, and we were good to go on day 225 for the defense itself. It started out pretty good. I was absolutely kicking butt with my upgraded Sour Edge. I had neglected one of them and a whole bunch of firebugs had managed to break through, so I had to quickly make some repairs. The dust mites were really making this a lot harder than it needs to be. I was quite lucky that a whole bunch of different infused creatures never really attacked, only a few. I might have been more in trouble if there was more infused Black Ox beetles. It was an absolutely slugfest though. I forgot how long it actually takes, and certainly definitely more of a challenge. I highly recommend you build lots of cement walls or hundreds of mushroom ones. I was quite proud of doing it the first time round.
Come on, it must be done. Yes!
I went and grabbed the embiggening cocktail, and then realised I would need some spider venom from the Black Widows to go ahead and craft the next treat for the Fire Ant Queen. So that's what I did on day 226, although I've got to say my skills were maybe lacking, as I got absolutely demolished the first time and it wasn't even infused.
Whoa!
I've been building up a nice selection of different trinkets now. I've managed to find ones with extra damage against most of the bosses, but not the Black Widow itself. But what I had come across was a waffle that made any creature more weak against Sour, which was perfect for Acid Edge. And bearing in mind the Black Widows are already weak against it. So I spent some time farming some of the Widow Spiderlings and hopefully give myself a chance of getting even more ooze. As by now the deduper jelly wasn't a problem, it was still the ooze I needed so much of to go ahead and keep getting more upgrades. Days 227 and 228 weren't really filled with much action other than me just trying to work out what I would need and decide on doing with the Fire Ant Queen itself. I experimented with the waft emitter on top of the Brawny Boy bin box, but apparently it doesn't work. And knowing it's a pretty tough place to go and explore, especially with all the infused ones, I went and tried and cleared out the Fire Ant Hill as best as I could before coming back the next day to go ahead and decide her fate. I did have only 2 choices, as there wasn't the infected recipe not until New Game Plus 2, so it was either poison or befriend. As handy as it would be getting that third and final mutation buff that I needed to make all ants pretty much friendly, I decided I'd still wanted just some more Fire Ant pieces and get access to all the secret loot in the hill and area behind her.
Yeah, we'll take all these.
I grabbed Thor's pendant on the way home, and again there was 2 of them, one just on its own and another one with an extra buff. I managed to get perfect block, which was pretty decent, but the rest of the pendant isn't as good as it used to be. Scanned all of the Fire Ant Queen stuff and added some final touches to the museum now I had all the body parts. Well, apart from the Black Ant Queen. Rest of the day I went and decided to try and clear out the termite woodpile, but it was definitely tougher than I expected. Closed corridors are not the one for these sour orbs. What I did get, which was really good and I've been sleeping on too long, was damage resist and crit days on one trinket. I didn't realise damage resist can give you 50% damage reduction, and that would come in clutch when it came to fighting the infected broodmother. I died a bunch of times trying to get my gear back, everything was broken, and I decided this was it. I'd have to go home, regroup and get myself some extra heals. So day 230 I finally made my way through to the kings and took out the pair of lover boys. Yep, 2 termite kings. Luckily, or maybe unluckily, one of them wasn't infused, so it's pretty easy to take care of with my sour axe. And unless you really need the parts, it wasn't really worth it as there was no extra loot and not many milk molars in here either. On the way back, maybe stupidly, I decided to see what kind of experience it might be taking on the Mantis, so I gave it a whirl. And yeah, I got my butt kicked a bunch of times and decided I definitely needed a bit more prep. Oh, okay. No, mate. I'm not ashamed to say that even with making sure I had the extra buff from the trophy and a bunch more heals, I still got my ass handed to me. No way! I was nowhere near that! I finally realised I had a trinket that gave me 30% extra damage against the Mantis Queen, so that's what I went and used the very next day. With just a quick pit stop to go and get some much needed muscle sprouts to replenish all of my healing smoothies. And yeah, we carried on as we left off as she beasted me, but this time, no, with my roly-poly armour coming in clutch again to give me that extra defence and using my rusty spear, I finally whittled her down. The explosive resist shield was also really coming in handy. Come on! Come on! Come on! Yes! I died 16 times to her in the battles over the last couple of days, so I was pretty relieved to finally defeat her. And it was only at this point that I remembered that the bosses drop their own unique ooze that you can make basically cheaper infused crystals with. As long as you can take on 1 or 2 of the bosses again, then it's definitely cheaper than trying to get 10 infused ooze. Basically, I'm a chicken shit and I didn't want to have to face off against these bosses again, not anytime soon. Spent the next day scouring for milk molars with not much luck, but I did find some more extra loot chests. A good spot is where you find the 4-leaf clover. Day 234 I went and took care of another black widow, again because it had some decent loot inside its lair, and then made my way over to Molduk's castle. More infused loot, and then finally facing off against Director Schmector again. So this fight, as well as the infected broodmother, is obviously entirely optional. You don't need to complete them to go ahead and gain access to the next New Game Plus, but I want to see what kind of rewards I would get. And it's pretty much the same deal, it's all based on what kind of effect it will have, depending on whether or not you'll succeed, just like it is with the Mantis. Difference being though, if you die on this occasion, you can obviously resummon it and it will have a new effect, but obviously you won't keep being able to take the fight again. Director Schmector, just like the infected broodmother, does drop special weapons, infused ones, in New Game Plus 4, but that's obviously a long way away at the moment. He was pretty tough, just like the assistant manager. The lasers will come on at different random times than they would before, and it all seemed quite a bit more intense. But with my upgraded sour battle axe, I just kept going in for the kill and hoped and prayed I got the last hit in before I got vaporised. Baby all weavers weren't really a problem with the sour battle axe, but I certainly didn't want to get crisscrossed with that green laser. And then I just went for it, remembering that the lasers don't automatically shut off as soon as you kill Director Schmector, so make sure you are still safe when you've got the final killing blow. Yes! Get wrecked! Pretty disappointed there was no big reward for killing Schmector, not even some infused ooze. Like literally nothing, no Easter egg, no raw science, kind of a massive waste of time. So don't do it kids, wait until New Game Plus 4 before taking on Schmector. Day 235 I checked out on the remaining stuff I needed to buy, which pretty much was only Burgle's bundle. I'd already bought the Wallopino, the Breath Slayer and the other weapons, but I just weren't really going to be using them as I'd committed to maybe making the Sour Battle Axe, the Acid Edge, my favourite and biggest upgraded weapon. I did some maintenance and base sorting on the rest of the day, and then day 236 decided to go and use Burgle's glasses as well as the spatula to see what life looked like in 8-bit world. This is what his glasses do, it basically makes everything look like it's a game from the early 90s. with Burgle's old flipper meant to be a weapon, but honestly it's probably the worst one going. I couldn't really work out if I was using it wrong, it just simply didn't do a lot of damage, and I even committed to upgrading it to level 9, but don't panic, I didn't use or waste my fusion crystals on it. I had a raid of mosquitoes coming to test it, and yeah, it's pretty poor. I get it's meant to be a joke, especially the glasses, I quite like the way it looks, but certainly the actual flipper itself definitely needs a massive buff or boost. The mosquitoes did a massive amount of damage to my staircase and surrounding area, and it took a good long time for me to go ahead and kill them. Why didn't I just switch to a regular weapon? I was committing to the bit of wearing this whole outfit for at least one Let's Play episode, and remember you can go and check out so much more details and so much more that I'm not showing here by watching the full Let's Plays and live streams. Once the defense was over, I headed over to the stump lab to see if there was any kind of extra loot inside the stump lab itself. Some milk molars for sure, and of course the rest of the special charm that you can combine to get invincible shielding and invincible damage, but nothing else. And then I had one more day wearing the goggles as I tried to get more milk molars and again did some more maintenance around the base. Day 238, it was time to piss off the Wasp to hopefully get access to the Brawny Boy bin box, which had closed again during New Game Plus. Out of all the boss fights, I felt like the Wasp Queen was going to be the most difficult, especially as I pumped all my upgrades into my sour battle axe and didn't really have anything good or ranged. But first we need to go in there and explore. Took care of the dust mites and termites as normal, and then was again pretty much swamped by the Wasp as I tried to gain access to the top of Taze Tea where seemed to be some milk molars. Plan was to clear out this Brawny Boy bin box completely first, and then the very next day, or as soon as I could, go and take care of the Wasp Queen on its own. I had to be quick as I didn't want all the wasps respawning in between me coming back. One of the few omnant badges that doesn't have any extra effects, so don't go rushing and getting excited about hopefully getting something different. And now my Satyr Battle Axe, definitely the Black Widows weren't as scary as they normally were, although I still had a bit of trouble taking care of this one. I killed the rest of the Black Widow spiderlings and then obviously went for the egg sac with the Whittle Whittling, the special trinket that you can get from the egg sac here, but no bonus added to it. I've done it, oh lordy. Yep, I was bricking it, this was the fight I was least looking forward to. And with good reason, with the amount of chances of her summons also being infused, it was going to make the fight incredibly difficult. Oh, run. Wow. Okay, that is pretty hard. I was filled with quite a bit of confidence. I'd already got them whittled down with just my bow, but I hadn't got the right gear on. The helmet wasn't doing nothing for me with this sour battle axe, but it certainly was doing a good amount of damage. I managed to get it almost down to half health when she kicked in with a vengeance. No, what? The Wasp Queen is so hard it makes grounded crash whenever you try switching gear to fight her. Like, come on, as if it wasn't hard enough. The game just absolutely hated me. Pretty much comes to the conclusion that at the moment, if it's sour orbs, maybe the spicy or explosive, it's sometimes just not even worth trying to take on these bosses. You're better off just dying or reloading your game and hoping you get something a bit easier. And I certainly died a lot. But finally, after about 3 or 4 times, I got enough of a health down, took care of her minions and weighed in with the last of my axe swings to hopefully down her.
Come on, you're nearly there. You're nearly there. No, yes, yes. Get in.
Don't get too cocky.
Oh no.
Wasps always have a sting in their tail. But at least I managed to get the win and I'd done it. Completed the 3 bosses to go ahead and start New Game Plus if I wanted to. Again, realising we've got more of the special bosses, but I weren't going to be duping that as it was still expensive compared to just getting the fusion crystals. And on day 141 I had to defend another raid as I was getting myself sorted. It seems the Wasps wanted revenge for me killing their mama. I just about managed to defend it and realised that I would need maybe more better defences, but I got there in the end, and day 142 decided it was time to stop being an absolute fanny and go and take on the bosses, as this would be maybe the quickest way to get enough ooze to get the upgrades I wanted. But even with a more powerful sour battle axe and a lot better trinkets, she was no joke. 1-0 to the Broodmother. But after that first fail, I did do a lot better the next 3 goes, and I managed to farm her pretty successfully, getting more infused parts. I spent the next 2 days summoning creatures with the waft emitter, with some mixed results. It was okay when I was taking on the ants, maybe stink bugs and 1 or 2 black widows, but then I stupidly summoned about 8 or 9. And yeah, I got wrecked. Day 245 was me pretty much going to all corners of the backyard. I grabbed 1 or 2 extra milk molars, but I still didn't have enough for what I really wanted, which was to get all of my stamina max upgraded before taking on the infected broodmother. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere, from the sandbox to the picnic table to the ladybird larvae tunnel. I just was desperate for any more loot, but more importantly, milk molars. More battles with black widows in their lairs, but again no substantial loot. I did then remember there was a milk molar on top of the tripod, so used some clay foundations to get up there pretty quick, and then got another one. With these 2 I can now get enough to fully upgrade my max stamina too. By the end of the day I finally had enough 15 fusion crystals to get the next upgrade for my Sire battle axe. In the end though I decided to go a bit different. With only infected broodmother to fight, I figured I needed a fresh weapon, and I was really missing having a shield, having used the Sire battle axe for so long, so instead I went and upgraded it at least twice to the same level as my Sire battle axe. The last couple days were spent just scouring the yard once more, looking for them all important milk molars to see if I could increase my healing. I was pleased to say I found a good few more. Taking some time to take on this moth. Oof. Day 248 I remembered I'd have to actually turn off the haze to get access to the infected broodmother, and I came across some more milk molars. Spent the rest of the day clearing out the haze, looking for any extra loot, and then back over to the trench as I kinda had a feeling there might be something inside the basket in the BMX. In the end though, I reckon I missed out on probably maybe 8 or 9 milk molars, but I didn't worry too much. I got my max stamina, max healing, max health. The only thing I wasn't really getting max was the food and water. And it was nearly time, the early part of day 249, sorting out some more stuff around my base, making sure I had duplicates of my armour sets so that I could now have them close to hand instead of running around the whole museum. Crafted as many healing smoothies as I could, and rejigged a lot of my special zip lines so I could get around the map easier when I do eventually begin New Game Plus 2. A quick nap and it was good to go. I brought everything with me. I had the trophy for the infected broodmother. I took it over and made myself a little outpost outside her lair, even with a fridge and lots of meals so I wouldn't lose any additional benefits. Concealed the antlion and spider slider for the win. Then it was time to choose the trinkets. Which would I go with? I had lots of sour up and sour damage major, which was pretty good, but for the infected broodmother, as said, I needed something that was going to either do fresh damage or just straight up extra damage against her. Nothing was really fitting the bill, and that's when the resist came in. I didn't realise it was 50%, thanks for the wiki for that. And that's what I went with, crit, daze as well as damage resist, and it seemed to do the job, especially when I eventually switched halfway through this fight to my explosive resistant shield.
Oh, okay, here we go. Oh.
She had an absolute ton of health even in the first stage. I thought this was going to go really bad, but I'd lucked out. Her effect was indeed explosive damage, and I felt pretty good equipped.
This is just the first level. I am not going to do this, people. I am not going to do this.
So I was lacking in confidence, but I did manage to at least do it the first time. Stage 2 was pretty tough. Overall, this fight lasted about 10 minutes, I swear. And although I wasn't doing a huge amount of damage with my blade, I still felt like it was the best route to go, making sure to take care of her egg spawns so she didn't get an extra damage buff. I persevered, I've tried blocking as much as possible and made sure I used all of them smoothies, and it came in clutch as I defeated her for the second phase.
Run.
But my days, the third absolute phase was a killer. She moved so quick, that explosive damage was beasting me, but that shield was absolutely coming in clutch. So yeah, screw you to all the haters that give me crap for not making friends with all the ants. This was definitely the way to go for me. It was coming down to the wire. I only had 2 Fuzz on the Rocks smoothies left, and I couldn't see her as she just kept hitting me with these waves of smoke, and I managed to just about avoid getting blown up. I'm not sure I would have been able to do this fight if I hadn't invested all that time in looking for the milk molars. Overall, this whole playthrough for the 50 days has taken me over 30 hours. Just to give you an idea of what you might have to go through if you're not a particularly good player like me.
Yes! You did it!
Oh my god, people, I did it the first time. Out of all the bosses, this is the one that I did the first time. Admittedly, I used up like 40 potions. And something I've never realised before, how strong damage resist is. Didn't realise it was 50%. That definitely came in clutch. And the shield as well. Yeah, boy. All them people saying, oh, don't infect the ants. Because then you won't be able to get the ant pet. Who cares about an ant pet when you can have an infected ant shield giving you that explosive resist? And that was, alright, lucky. It could have been magic. It could have been. I'm happy. I've done it. Woo! No time to mess around. It was straight over to the mysterious door again. Oh, baby. Here we go. Are you ready? Okay, let's do it. Ooh. I do like that sound. It's a very, very cool sound. Day 250, turning the dial and beginning another New Game Plus run. Or will I? Woo! I can't believe it. New Game Plus 2. Here we go. I think. Hold up.
Damn.
Where's the cool music?
Where am I?
Where's all my items?
Are those?
Where's all my gear? Why does it look different?
Can't be.
What's going on?
This must be one of those
Where's my weapons? Where's my armor?
shows.
Where's the footprint?
An extremely
What the hell is going on?
realistic prank
Why is it coming up with the old quest? It shouldn't be doing this. This should be New Game Plus 2.
Imagine what it looked like when that thing landed.
What's going on? I've discovered that landmark. No! It's not put me in New Game Plus 2. It's put me in Grounded 2020. Burgle's gonna mess things up somehow. I guess I'm gonna have to try and complete the game all throughout every update that Grounded ever had and see what progress really meant over the last 4 years. And hopefully one day I might make it back to New Game Plus 2. If you want to see that, make sure you watch the individual Let's Play episodes of my new adventures in Grounded when it was 2020. Thank you for watching this whole video, and if you stay tuned for all of the previous Let's Plays and live streams, I really appreciate it, and a big shout out to all of my YouTube members that sometimes get some of the videos early. And again, just thank you so much to the Grounded community. We're close to 45,000 subscribers, over 25 million views covering Grounded. I love the game immensely. I can't wait for Grounded 2 to come, and that will be happening, I'm sure, next year. And yeah, I'm still going to be there every single week with some Grounded content. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll see you later.